Leave it to me to put a weekly recap out on a Tuesday. Hey everyone, welcome back to the next chapter. My name is Christopher Navo, and I'm going to be your host. If this is your first time joining, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Please leave a like, comment, all the good stuff. Let me know what you think of the content, or at least share what you are reading. Today's video is getting back into the groove of putting out weekly updates. Now, I haven't decided which day of the week I'm going to put these out. They don't necessarily have to be out on the end of the week. I think prior to when I started these back in at the very end of 2023, I was aiming either for Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I think I started them on Sunday mornings. Honestly, if I can for now, if I can just get them out on a weekly basis, I'd be thrilled. I just think the weekly updates were a good idea. I kind of got the idea from seeing Lezlie from the Nerdy Narrative do these her weekly updates, and I just find them very manageable because rather than just coming at you at the end of the month with the 4 or 5 books that I read and trying to cram in all my thoughts and review those books in just that one video, I think it's a little easier to talk about the books I'm reading more on a weekly basis. So yeah, I wanted to get back into these it's kind of on my road to getting back into a general groove on booktube because I do miss making videos, and I haven't really done much this year, and it's time to just get back into it. So without any further ado, let's get back into our first weekly wrap up with what I've read. Vengeance. It was as good as a reason as any. Vengeance can stir a rebellion, push people to do things beyond what they ever thought they could. But could it support an empire? So one of my first recent reads here, this came around the end of May, was The Fall. This is by Ryan Cahill. This is part of the Bound and the Broken series. With The Fall, you have a 80-page novella that kind of introduces you to the world that Ryan Cahill created here. One of the things I liked about The Fall was the immediately thrown into this action sequence, and there is a lot to very much unpack in this 80-page book. Now, a lot of people will tell you there's like debate on where to really start on with this series, but I think most booktubers at least will tell you to start with The Fall. I think it really sets up the scene for when you hit Of Blood and Fire, which I will also talk about here shortly. Now with The Fall, like I said, it's just this one epic battle. The one thing I really appreciated Ryan does here is he gives us not one but 4 point of view perspectives of this battle, and I think that was very brave and very unique to see in a novella. Usually novellas, it's one POV story that goes all the way through. This pretty much read very much like almost like a prequel to maybe like a main story, but it came with a satisfying, but bittersweet conclusion. But I think this was just well done, and I think it was an amazing effort on Ryan to just give us this novella. Like I mentioned, the point of view characters were all very uniquely designed. You can pinpoint each character, and you got a spark of emotion when you read each of these chapters, because there's like 4 chapters, one for each POV during this tragic, emotional fall of this empire and setting up a new one. So like I said, I think it just really set up what happens into the start of technically the first book of Blood and Fire, and I will go with the majority and say I recommend you, if you ever start this series and haven't done so and are thinking about it, I do recommend starting with the novella first. I think it just will set you up for what you can expect of this author. I told him the sun will set and will rise again, and it will do so the next day and the next. The gods are in charge of such things, but it is by our own will that we pick ourselves up when we fall. And then, of course, after I read The Fall, to finish the month of May, I did read Of Blood and Fire. This is technically the main book one of the Bound and the Broken series, and it does take place after the events of The Fall. So with the Of Blood and Fire, we are introduced to one primary main POV that we kind of stick around with for the majority of the book, and that is Cahill. He lives a simple small town life. We get to meet him, his friends. He is of coming of age, and in fact, the first few chapters are his what is called the proving into manhood. So if this premise sounds a little familiar, this was one of the surprises I had when I picked up Of Blood and Fire, especially after reading The Fall, is Ryan kind of goes back into those traditional fantasy sort of formula that we all fall in love with fantasy in the first place. We are given a very innocent, young man. We are introduced to his friends. Their life is pretty much their town, and just like the surrounding area is all they're familiar with. They're not troubled by any big world politics or anything crazy that's going out in the world. And I appreciate him going this route. You don't see too many, especially new authors or young authors, going back into these traditional sort of storytelling. The chapters all have something going on, whether it be character development. There are action sequences, and of course, as you get further along in the story, those action sequences come more and more. But I do love and appreciate the character developing moments. They might read slower to some people, but they don't to me. I get why he does this. I think he deliberately creates the friendships right off the bat, and I think they come off very strong. And I think Bryan handled the friendships with the main character and his most closest friends really well. And then as he meets more people, we get more of the relationship connection with him, whether it be a new friendship building or maybe an antagonistic sort of relationship going on with a couple of other characters. There's always somebody kind of conflicting with him, but then there's always the people that he's close to and the people that he adds to his circle of friends. And like I said, Cahill handles friendship really well. They're all believable. Nothing seemed forced or anything like that, and I think he just pulled it off. Along with the traditional sort of chosen one, reluctant hero tropes that we have going on, we have a lot of the traditional races as well. We have the humans, elves, dwarves, giants. There's creatures that are given a different name, but they are pretty much orcs in their sort of description. Then I think probably his biggest contribution to taking something fun and unique is with his dragons and the way humans and dragons bond. And you'll notice that a lot in The Fall more because Of Blood and Fire is pretty much setting up a new storyline of that bond between human and dragon. And I forgot to mention that with The Fall. He does a really good job of consequence, of ramifications, of forming a bond with a dragon, as well as what you get from it, the benefits of bonding with a dragon. And I think he handled this relationship really well, and you'll get to see a little bit that play out in Of Blood and Fire. Obviously, there's more to come. This is a series that's still going on, and from what I've seen, the books just get thicker and thicker, which I'm all for, because I want to be immersed in a big epic series. And I don't know, I felt like something awesome was happening in every page, and I really appreciated that. Yeah, I really don't have any issues with this book. I would have liked to have seen maybe a few more. We were given hints of some of his other people on a point of view level, and maybe I would have liked to seen a little more. particularly from his sister and one of his friends. We got a couple chapters on, and it makes you thirsty for more, which I think is a good thing. You know, maybe he is saving that for future books. Based on his Twitter account, the current book he's written has like 14 or plus POVs. So needless to say, it sounds like he is eventually going to grow this epic adventure into something, well, epic. So that's all I got to say. Guys, I recommend this series. It was a lot of fun. There's definitely a lot of love from traditional stories. I think people might see a little definites from Wheel of Time. I think he even has a creature that has a same name from the Wheel of Time. I don't care. He changed it up a little bit. Those very similar things that happen in traditional fantasy quickly dissipate, and Ryan goes his own direction, but the love is there, and I think it was a love letter to a lot of those old traditional fantasies, John Gwen, Aragon, Tolkien, and then, like I mentioned, the Wheel of Time. And I know for people who don't like those books, I still think you might find something fun and unique in this story. It's an enjoyable experience. This was also a buddy read with 4 to 5 other booktubers, John from Talking Story, Philip Chase from The Best of Fantasy, Mike from Mike's Book Reviews joined us for a discussion on Philip's channel, and Angela from Unicorns Read, who unfortunately she couldn't make it to our first discussion, where we talked about Blood and Fire in the Fall, but she should be joining us hopefully for book 2, which we will be picking up again in July. So in fantasy, what I'm currently reading, as of this recording anyway, is Riven Earth. This is by Zammar Ahmer. This is a debut fantasy book by this author. And this was an arc sent to me via EPUB by him. And let me tell you guys, this book is going to be a contender for one of my favorite books of the year. If it continues on its trajectory towards its end, I would love to see more of this author. That's all I'll say for now. I'll save my full review next week for my weekly wrap-up. This book will also be one I will have a written review for the website SFF Insiders that I'm a part of. So I'm excited to get my thoughts out for that. This video itself is released on Tuesday, and that's the day this book will be available. So I will have a link below to where you can check that out. This is something I recommend you guys read. I think you guys will enjoy it. I'm going to say that right off the bat, but I will save my full review towards next week. The world has stopped turning. Burned by a blazing sun, thrust into eternal winter, life survives only in the sunset forest. For untold millennia, mankind lived subservient to the Dryads, forced into worship of the Earth Mother Astera. Then one man ventured into the scorched desert and returned with the secret of fire. His rebellion brought the Dryad Empire to ash. In its place, he found the kingdom of Heartsong. 12 years later, the new king is missing. The earth trembles. Famine ravishes the land, and a mysterious illness creeps through the capital. Plots of treason and revenge abound. But as the mistakes of the past bear fruit, men will reap what they have sown. Open now the Book of Astera and learn what has been forgotten. And as part of my weekly dedication to indie books, not including The Bound and the Broken and Riven Earth, I also want to give a quick shout out to author Bryan Wilson. He just released a cover reveal for novella as part of his Power of the Stars series. This one is called A Princess of Adir, and this is a novella that can be read as a standalone, but he recommends you read this after book 2, The Son of the Prophets. Son of the Prophets is a book that I will be getting to here in the next upcoming weeks, so hopefully I will have this read by the time this novella comes out. I've enjoyed the first book, The Forsaken Planet, very much, and I'm very happy to continue on with this series. Congratulations again to Bryan Wilson on your cover reveal. It looks amazing and fantastic, and I can't wait to see how this series continues. The Ulduran family has guided the planet of Uldir for centuries, and as the ancestors of a prophet, the world's citizens have always honored their bloodline. However, the people's struggles are on the rise, and their solar system's limited resources continue to dwindle. Rana, the daughter of the current Lord Supreme, considers it her duty to rid the planet of its troubles. She spends most of her days training to take up her family's mantle. But when a popular young leader from a neighboring world arrives on their soil, it becomes evident that there are those with other wishes. Set more than 3 decades before the events of the Forsaken Planet, this is a story of one family's struggle to do what is right, even if it costs them their legacy. And in some channel news, I've been accumulating a lot of books, more so books than I actually get to read. So now my shelves have turned into more books I've not read to compare to books I have read. So to help out with that, I put out a poll asking you guys, my subscribers, as to what I should read from my shelves. And I usually pick about 4 books from that list. This is going to be something that I'm going to do on a monthly basis. And for July, the theme was historical fiction. So all 4 of these books I want to read at some point, but I'm leaving it up to you guys to help me actually pick one for the month. And the winner for that, by a very close margin to the second book here, the winner was Augustus by John Williams. Obviously, this is a book, Life and Times of the First Emperor of Rome. And I've been wanting to get to this for a very long time. There's a lot of booktubers recommend it. I always worry about a book that gets hyped in the circle of booktube, and I usually veer away from them, and it might have been why I've kind of put this one a little bit on hold, but it's also something I'm surprised I haven't read myself, since I major in archaeology, minor in history, so this is something that I've been kind of surprised I haven't read. So yeah, I'm excited to get to this. So thank you to everybody who picked this for the winner. It doesn't look like a very long read either, so I'll have more time to get back into some fantasy and sci-fi for July. Well, that's it for me this week, guys. Let me know if you've read any of these books that I mentioned in today's video. I will have links to where you can find each and every one of the books I've listed in the description below. Please, again, support your indie and self-published authors especially. Otherwise, my name is Christopher Navo. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I hope to see you in the next chapter. Take care. So one of my first recent reads, this was towards the end of June. It's not June yet, or it's not the end of June, it's the end of May. So with Bound in the, is part of the the Bound and the Broken. I did immediately, and you almost knocked down the camera. We'd say hi.